Shout out to the mighty Who That Nation, Big Q representing the sports coma. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Get your prop bets in at FanDuel for all the latest, man. Shout out to you in this episode, fam. We're going to talk about Cam Jordan. He recently made an appearance on Teron Armstead's broadcast. Shout out to Teron doing this thing. And he talked about his future with the black and gold. Talked about many different things and what uniform that he ultimately wants to wear. Now, Cam is the man. You know, he's to me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the greatest defensive end the Saints ever had. And he is a guy that should be allowed to finish his career with the New Orleans Saints. We had a recent broadcast. We talked about Elvin Kamara, and with these guys, these are legend Saints that have crossing timelines, like playing on the same within in the same areas of their career. We've seen greatness from Cam. We've seen greatness from Elvin Kamara. In my estimation, these players are living legend players that should be allowed to finish their career. See how all this shakes and works, because money's a big part of it. Cam is not going a discount on what's going on with the team, so we'll see how all that work going forward. But the bottom line is that, man, listen, it's going to be interesting to see just how all this works going forward as the market. Let's take this article kind of touches on it. Shout out to Saints Sports Illustrated that kind of pinpoints on it. It mentions that Jordan's market value, according to Sport Track, is currently about almost $7 million for 1 year. He didn't appear concerned about the financial aspect of his upcoming decision, though, being more interested in a place where he can contribute and compete. Value means position, rotation, monetary value, sure, but more along the lines of, if I get 10 to 12, 13 sacks next season, I want to be in a position to do so. So if the Saints were to lose Cam Jordan to another franchise, Saints will lose more than just a key player. He had been a voice of the defense, the entire team, for most of the past decade, something New Orleans would need to replace. Well, the bottom line is, regardless or not, and I'm for Cam. I think Cam is the best defensive end the Saints ever had. Whether you do it this year or next year, you're going to have to because he's close to the back end of his career. We wouldn't be having this conversation if he had 6 sacks. You know, him getting 10.5 sacks and leading the team does open the door to say, listen, I can still do this at a high level. Now, if the Saints do sign Cam, could it be a similar, or teams looking to sign Cam, is it similar to what Demario Davis got, which I didn't anticipate him getting 2 years and wanting to play beyond a year. He signed a 2-year agreement with the Jets. Is Cam similar? You know, is he looking for a multi-year arrangement with another team? But anyway, these are some of the thoughts to kind of think about in dealing with the Saints. Me personally, I think, and I told you guys this before, I think Cam Jordan's done with the Saints. I think they've made a position about what they feel Cam is worth. They talked about it before free agency started, and then after that, Cam went to free agency. He went, okay, listen, I'm going out here and see if I can get the market I set. And the Saints think that whatever they offer him is fair. Cam believes he wants to get more, so he's hitting the market to see if he can get more. Now, is the door open for him to come back to the original offer the Saints made him? I would say yes, because of his relationship and the history that he's had with the team. He's not leaving the team in any bad light. He hadn't said nothing disrespectful. So the door is open for Cam. But in terms of him going out there and getting that money from other teams, man, the Saints seem pretty firm in their position, and they'll be looking probably definitely in the draft to try to add more help. Now, whether it's this year with them bringing Cam back and then going into next year and getting somebody, at some point they were going to do it. Even if they brought Cam Jordan back, the Saints was going to do something about drafting the edge rusher this year anyway, you know, with him being a 1-year dude or, you know, whatever it may be. But we know he's at the back end of his career, and the Saints set a price. Cam said no. Now, there's an interview from Teron Armstead's his podcast. I'm gonna cue that up and we'll check it out. Here we go.
So for how your body feeling?
Man, my body good, man. I'm feeling great. I actually ain't let the offseason catch up to me. I've just been consistently working. Normally by now I'm big back season, eating and drinking how I want to. I've just been sort of on a super move, you know. Just like I said, I'm blessed. I'm not out in Arizona early. You know what I'm saying? I'm running, I'm biking, I'm
Yeah.
playing pickleball daily. I got, last week free agency started. Man, I hit 5 states in 7 days. I was on a tour.
Man.
Slid into New Orleans real quick. Picked up some stuff from the locker room. Headed
Oh,
over.
not you picking
Hey,
up stuff in the locker room. What the hell?
absolutely. I said, I
What the
can't let me
hoodie?
have this on the off chance. They, on the off chance, nah, nah, And then slid to
Okay, so that's big. Clearing out the locker room for Cam Jordan, right? Kind of that's definitely a more than a key, right? That's like if you're an investigative reporter, somebody said that, you'd be like, wow. Even Teron Armstead talked about that. Wow, clearing out the locker room. If there's anticipation that he's coming back to the Saints, there is no need for you to clear out the locker room unless there is a disconnect here. The Saints could have possibly put their foot in the ground and said, you know what, this is what we're going to pay you. And Cam could see it as disrespectful. Hey, this is something that happens every year. But you could tell that there's some hurt right there, to be honest with you, because Cam gave New Orleans everything. And toward the back end, he should, what he's asking can be radically higher. If Sport Track has Cam value around $7 million a season, what he could be asking $7 to $8 million, the Saints only willing to give him 4 or 5, maybe 6, and he's asking for 7 to 8. What's the differential between the two? What does the Saints offer versus Cam's price? Sport Track says 7 to 8. Is the Saints somewhere between 5 and 6 for Cam in his final year, right? Now would you go and give him the little extra money because it's Cam in the final year? Me, I would give it to him, right? And then I would go into the draft, whether it's in the, depending on what we looking like in the first and second round, and land me a edge rusher that can come in there and kind of help out, so Cam can kind of help learn the position, and then we move forward. But clearing out your locker room, most players come in, clear their lockers at the end of the year, but Cam Jordan been a Saint forever. For him to go in there and talk about clearing his locker and all this kind of stuff, that is very interesting behavior. And we'll just have to monitor it, man. That's interesting.
salute to Florida, Demario Davis, some of the guys out there, Anquan Bolden, they were
Oh
doing
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. I
Yes,
couldn't make it, man. I wish I could.
stand together. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm trying to support. And then some news hit, and wifey was like, "Hey, if we thinking about this team, let's have a talk." And I said, "Well, we ain't thinking about this team, but maybe okay." I said, "Let's have a talk." And so I was in Florida, had to fly home to Arizona real quick to have a little powwow. I said,
Oh
I said,
man.
hey, what you said, technology? I was thinking, I was like, yeah, let's talk.
He's in
And she's
Florida.
like, just give me the three options we had. I was like,
Talking
we
to
got
Tehran's
three
former
options.
old
She's like,
team.
no, but I wanna understand them. I said, you could have asked this before I left. Great. So I came home, we sat down, we talked, and, got her on board, and then I dipped off to Cal Berkeley, the Golden Bears. We did a little pass rush summit. Myself, Trevor Guyton, who played ball with me back in college, and Tyson Alulu, who was a former first.
I remember Tyson Alulu used to play for the Jaguars, good defensive end. But listen, Cam, in terms of what you talking about, my brother, 3 potential teams, and I know he made mention of the fact that he wants warm weather teams, and I know he had to talk to the boss, meaning his wife, about a decision for Cam Jordan to switch teams and go to different places, and then she wanted him to come home to discuss this because obviously she doesn't want him to, they want to make sure they're comfortable, they deserve that much going forward. But what are the Cam's 3 teams you guys think it is? Now, a lot of people going to ask, that's going to assume that the 3 teams are teams that are tied to teams like former players or guys that Coach Payton, for instance, might be the Denver Broncos. Well, if it's a weather team, it's cold. It snows up there pretty fierce, so it's beautiful, but it gets really cold. So is that an environment that Cam and his family wants to go to? That might not fit the warm weather styles or whatnot, but Sean Payton's there. Chicago, that's another cold weather team. When fall winter hits, it get really cold up there in Chi-Town. But Dennis Allen's the defensive coordinator. The Raiders, with Clint Kubiak running them now, Joe Woods is the defensive coordinator there. So that's also a connection to Cam. And there are others. that possibly could be. How about Aaron Glenn and the Jets? That's another team up north with Cole. But he said he was in Miami. So could that be him talking to any one of these other teams that's located in Miami? It's three. I mean, in Florida rather, not Miami, but in Florida. But there's the Miami Dolphins, there's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there's the Jacksonville Jaguars. He did mention Tyson Alulu, who was a former defensive end that played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So could they be one of the teams there for Cam Jordan? So there are quite a few people to kind of to get your mind around. But nonetheless, this is
Round
interesting,
pick,
man.
No.
had what, a 13, 14-year career in the league. We got to talk to the young guys. Hopefully, the young studs over there at Berkeley, and all the while, all while flying all this other stuff. Every time I land, I got 3, 4 text messages or phone calls from my agent, my manager,
Yeah.
the people that, hey, former teammates. Hey, bro, D coordinator will talk to you. Hey, bro, what you think about? I said, dang, this is nice.
Man.
Uh,
How is it? I know this is a foreign space for you,
yeah.
unfamiliar for sure. Like, how has it been mentally, just having all these other conversations and just being in this spot without clear, like a clear path yet? How has that been?
Man, I'm sort of good with it. I mean, if anything, you'd always want to say, what is it that you want from any one situation? And I came in knowing, after a 10 and a half sack season, 15 TFLs, 40 something tackles, like, all right, we have another season like that. We crack deep in the top 10. And at the same time, I'm also accepting the fact that at 36, everybody wants to go younger. Younger
Yeah.
doesn't mean younger doesn't mean more proven than what is presented, but potential gets the league a lot. So under that stand in that space, there's a set value that I have in in my mind. That's value is to the eye of the beholder at this point. Value means position, rotation, uh, monetary, sure, but more along the lines of if I want to get 10, 12, 13 sacks this next season, then I need to be in the best position to do so. And it could be at the Saints. It could be, hell, it could be at Miami Dolphins. It could be, I won't go now. It can't be Cleveland or Buffalo or Green Bay, but it could be. It,
Well, let me stop it there. And Cam is making a point. He's telling you the things that we already know, right? Insofar as the fact that the Saints and Cam met, like I just said earlier, before the off season, before free agency rather started, and the Saints had a figure in their head of what they wanted to pay Cam. I think it's estimated, according to the streets, it was between 4 to 6 million for Cam in his final season, and the estimations for Cam was higher. And we're talking like seven north of seven, like 7, 8 north of that, you know, because of that. And you can see why he's saying why what he's saying in terms of, listen, I had a 10 and a half sack season, start naming the tackles for loss and all this kind of stuff, showing you, hey man, forget about the potential, look at the statistics and what I gave you. And if a guy did 10 and a half sacks, led the team in sacks, had this many tackles, you would pay him this amount of money. And his sticking point is the fact that you're not paying me this kind of money because I'm 36 years old. I'm not that's why he mentioned the potential. He said you not possibly won't get an upgrade if you don't, you see what I'm saying? Because we seen that happen recently. We seen that Cam has survived where Marcus Davenport, Peyton Turner, and Foskey, guys that were brung on to replace him, all failed. So when you hit on somebody like a Cam Jordan, and if he's asking if the Saints are between 4 to 6 and Cam's between 7 north of that, 7, 8 north of that, then do you give him that additional revenue? Do you add that into the language of his agreement? And also take in account of who Cam Jordan is. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer for us. He has all of your sack records, a lot of the records Cam on. I would give Cam that on GP. I would. I think like Elvin Kamara, when we talked about the AK-41, what he's brought to the Saints and him deserving the right to finish his career as a Saint, Cam Jordan has that too. So if there's a year where if I wanted to kick out a few million, I might take take it on the chin from somebody saying, man, you gave Cam this much and this type of thing. That's fine, but I know Cam, what his contribution has been to the team overall. No scandals, always the consummate professional, always stepping up, handling business, stuff like that. Cam Jordan has been a excellent player. You couldn't ask for more from Cam Jordan than what he's maybe a couple of Super Bowls, but that's not totally on him. But Cam is he's not the same. Be not if you had rings or rungs or levels or shelves that you put players on that earned the right to have this, that, and the third, that Cam would be that guy that you would want to put up there and give him a little extra or even try to meet half or whatever they're doing. But Cam has an idea monetarily, and this is all money, by the way. This is all about money. Him going to Florida, yeah, there's rumors out there about him meeting with Miami. It's also rumors out there. It could be other teams from the Florida area. Could be he mentioned 3 teams in particular. I know a lot of these teams are not up north teams. These teams are rather down south teams, not the Falcons. We know it's one of them is Miami. Could be potentially be Tampa Bay. Could be I think Jacksonville could be one of them as well. And he might have one team on the West Coast that he might be interested. There's no way to know this, but it could be potentially something could be shaking coming up this week. We'll just see what it is. Here we go.
It could be.
You don't
It
like
could
to
be.
go, huh?
Man, there would be a number that could get me over there. But then
A number.
is that what
You
you
gotta-
want? I
you
want to do
gotta
it for the love of
overpay.
the game.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
there's also the pursuit of right now. There's freedom to pursue hopping on a podcast on a friend's will, as well as putting together some off the field fun.
For sure, for sure. As I was looking at the list of NFL sack leaders in history, and I'm looking at the names of the teams. So, like, out of the top 15 guys, I think you're 15 in NFL history in sacks. And I'm looking at the other 14 guys, and it's probably 3 guys that's only been with one team: Michael Strahan,
Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith.
No.
Everybody else, 3 teams, 4 teams.
Lawrence Taylor, maybe?
Yep. But he ain't a
Should be
defensive
Lawrence.
end though.
Maybe
But
so.
he not a DE.
Maybe so.
He not-
It was
he not a-
probably 3 guys that,
Yeah.
that only been with one team.
But that's not a
It's
defensive end,
such a
Cam.
rare place. In a
he would
rare
fall
because
in
you're already
linebacker
in
list.
rare company.
But he did a hell of a
being
defensive
on
end.
that list, right there on that list. But also to dial it back to be in that other room, that second room of I had 150 sacks in one place. Does that still play a big part in your mind and your decision on where you play ball next year?
No. No. Again, as much as I love the city of New Orleans, as much as I want to be in the city of New Orleans, my scholarship's there. I'm always going to, I don't know how many school visits I've gone there. Let's say 200 schools over the last 15 years, easy. And I've repeated some of those, yeah, if things that don't add up to what I consider as value happen, I understand the business nature of it all. In my mind, I'm like, of course, you see guys my age re-sign to the team because that's the only team that they've ever been with, and you're like, hell yeah, we love that. But that's to his situation. That may not be to my situation. I can only control. Hey, as football players, we only control what we can control. So as much as I'd be like, hell yeah, I want them to love me just like I love them. Sometimes, the business side of that makes you feel emotional. And you got to be able to take your emotions out of it. So of course I'd love to be in New Orleans. And at the same time, hey, if the sense doesn't make sense, we got to find our own path. I know what I want to do, I want to accomplish. And if that doesn't line up, then that's fine as well.
And that's why when you look at Cam said you got to take the emotion out of it. And you say that, man, but logically speaking, that's how Cam Jordan plays. His game is not, and I don't mean it's disrespectful, it's not a logical game, right? Cam Jordan is a passionate player. He draws energy from the passion, and that's what drives him through what we've seen from Cam. He's not a melancholy, monotone man. He's not that type of athlete. He's alive. He's his eyes are bucking, and he's full of energy. He says off-putting things. Not never disrespectful, but it's just the nature of his energy as a player, as a man. But you could tell that Cam put everything that he could be into the years that he was in New Orleans. He got all these records, he did all this. And then in the end, the question is that enough for you in my final year to reach me at where I want based on what I did over time for you? And the Saints position is, hey, yeah, we love you, but here, this is what the market dictates that we pay you. And he like, hey, man, damn this is me talking. Hey, man, damn the market. I gave you 10.5 sacks, not to mention, this type of thing and all this kind of stuff. So it's a tough position to be in for both Cam, who loves the area. Like he said, I love the New Orleans city of New Orleans. Not so he said the Saints, but he loves the community, tied into the community. Couldn't find a bigger and greater ambassador from the Saints in terms of players than Cameron Jordan, right? So me personally, if I'm the general manager, I would definitely, if I'm looking at 5 to 6 mil for Cam, and that's what the word on the street is, and he looking for something north of 7. I don't think 10 or nothing like that, but is that 2 million enough to say, now we're gonna break on that? Because the reality is, I've seen the Saints throw money away all the time. They threw it away on a lot of money away on Derek Carr, and he ain't healed nothing. We seen them throw money on good money on bad players the whole damn time. The last several years, we've seen that happen on coaches and everything. But in the end, what I'm saying is, it's not throwing money away. If you give Cam an extra meal, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's not gonna hurt nothing to give him extra. I think he's looking for another meal or two on top of that to finish out. I don't know how many years he asked for. I think it's 1 year. But in the essence, that got your Saint lineage has to count for something. It has to be able to, when people sit down to the table, it's not like he's talking to people that wasn't here when he started. The guys that's at the table now that running it was here when he started it. So they should recognize their contribution. And I guarantee you, if these decision makers were in the position that Cam would be in, they would be sitting there saying, what about my contributions to this team over the last 15, 16 years? Don't that count for anything? Hell, you would say that at your job. If you was somewhere for 20 million and they was trying to, you went before them and you wanted a bump in pay. Well, how else would you leverage your bump in pay? By utilizing the history of what you did for the company. Like, I did this, I've been here, I put this amount of years in, da, 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 da. So you don't think that that's a bargaining method for Cam and his agent to use? What about my body of work, my resume? Isn't that enough for you to say, hey, what about this? Give me a little bit extra here or there. What about the times I took less money to help the team out? I gave you a little discount. This time around, I can't. You can't flip it back, even though I know your cap situation. I know what you're looking like next year. You can't, So all this is taken into consideration with Cam, man. But it's a damn shame if you ask me.
I mean, just because I love the city and I love the organization doesn't mean the organization or the city has to love me back. The city definitely has and always will.
It's
I'm just simply saying,
I do.
my love doesn't mean that it's unrequited. It doesn't have to be give back.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always going to go back to New Orleans. I'm always going to try and give New Orleans the best of what we've got.
Yeah, but that's not, we ain't talking about the community. Yeah, you're going to always get back to the community. Community going to do the same. We're talking about the Saints and their money.
Because all my kids is from there. I got major connections out there. I love the smiles that I can put on the kids' faces out there. There's nothing that's going to make me be like, nah, I'm not going back just because me and the Saints don't work out. There's 15 years of a straight, beautiful love.
For sure.
What is that? 52 quarterbacks? 52 quarterbacks, 132 sacks. Top 10 in TFLs all time. Top 18 in sacks.
See, that's what I'm saying. He is throwing all of the body of work back at the Saints and saying, is this not enough to command a meal or two more on my asking price? I'm Cam Jordan. Body of work, resume, statistics, that has to count for something. That's what the agents are approaching the Saints at the negotiation table. Saints not looking like that. They're not looking like that. But a lot of people say, Q, we got to position ourselves and go find somebody new. You can still give Cam, because it's not 10 million he's seeking. You can still pay Cam Jordan, lock him up for the final year of his career, right? Final year, Hall of Fame player, first ballot, going into the Hall, lock him in for his final year. Still draft the defensive end in the first, maybe in the first or second or third round, and still have Cam there to help with the transition of that player for this season. That you go on to the and because you're going to draft a defensive end, whether it's this year or next year, you're still going to do it anyway. But it's a respect thing. It's a respect thing. So you're not paying for a player that's at the tail in terms of statistics that he can't help you. Cam led the team in sacks, telling you that I can contribute. I still want to contribute. I want to do it. And you can see, even though he says there's no hard feelings for the community, but you can see that for them, the Saints to not recognize that body of work and bridge the gap financially, it's some stink to it in Cam's mind.
Right.
Goes
Small
back to
violins at this point. You'd be like, oh man, I can't believe the Saints don't want him back. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We just haven't got figured something out yet. Another team may insert themselves and say, hey, we got this vision for you to get you your 10, 12 sacks. Hey, we got this vision to get you a Super Bowl. That's a value. I think the Saints could. I think Saints could be in that Super Bowl contention in the next 2 years. That's a value there.
That's
about
fact.
that's about what I got left in the tank. 2 to 3 years. Can we get one?
Okay. Okay, so now it's 2 to 3 years. So it's like it's similar. So the paths are similar to like Demario Davis, because originally we thought it was an additional year. It's similar to Demario Davis taking a 2-year deal. I was like, wow, he got a 2-year deal. Wasn't even the money. He made 11 million, right? Average 22 million 2 years at average 11. A lot of people said Demario wanted 10 a year when the free agency. Aaron Glenn and the Jets paid him 11 a year, and then gave him how much? 15 million on the guaranteed money with the Jets. Cam Jordan is definitely a force. He still has it in him. Now, he had 10 and a half sacks this year. Could that be representative of the Saints 2 or 3 years is what Cam Jordan says at 36. That puts him almost at 40. Now, that's interesting, man. That's most certainly interesting there. But could it be a situation where if he looking for a 2-year deal, that most certainly doesn't appear to be in the Saints' long-term plans. Maybe a 1-year deal. And the Saints are, talking about it, but the word on the street, it was nothing more than a 1-year deal that they could have been offering Cam and money. But he now wants to play 2 or 3 years. So we'll see how this all unhashes, man. But the mere fact that he cleared out his locker room could be problematic, man, moving forward. And as you can see, still advocating using stats and his resume, and that's all you have at the end of the day. It's your body of work. So indeed, you got to bring that to the ballgame table. That's how you get your bread up. I understand.
All right, Cam. Zay, let me have you put on your media hat.
Yeah.
Free agency, all these moves that's happened so far. Who do you think has won free agency so far out of these moves that you've seen being made?
You probably say the Saints.
Oh, yeah.
You probably look no further than. Oh, you need a guard? Here's a guard.
For sure.
Demario left. You can't replace Demario. Here's 2 linebackers.
Yeah.
As well as Jalen Ford, as well you still got Pete Warner. Now that linebacker room became depth.
Yeah.
Depth.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's running back room got depth too. Got Travis Etienne.
Man,
And
we got 8. All of a sudden, his name is Etienne. He's been going by Etienne the last 10 years. Now he would have come back home, and now all of a sudden it's Etienne. Okay.
It's Etienne. Shit, I went to a school in New Orleans. It was called Etienne. Spelled just like his last name or whatever.
When Trevor Lawrence was calling him Etienne, he didn't say he's not a dang thing. But now we back in the crib. Hey, shut up. Shut up, bro. It's Etienne.
That's funny for sure.
Man, they've got some great additions. Like I said, they picked up a guard, and you look at that offensive line. If that offensive line is healthy, they just figured out that final piece, right? You got 2 young tackles who got nothing but potential. You got a stalwart Cesar Ruiz. You got amazing Eric McCoy, and now you insert, this guard.
Yeah.
Wide receiver wise, and they still have the 8th overall pick. So now you sign HN in free agency. And what do you do from there? Media wise, you probably say they go for a big body receiver, Jordan Tyson type.
I definitely think so. Go receive. Yeah, no, it's hard to argue with the Saints not being the winners of free agency so far. The Raiders been active. They've done a lot. They got
All right, so we're gonna stop it right there. Shout out to Teron Armstead and his broadcast, man. Y'all know where to find it on YouTube to hear the entirety of the interview as well. But just wanted to touch on the fact that you heard what Cam Jordan said from the man's mouth himself, and plus the look in the man's eyes, and so you can see his energy. He wants to remain a Saint, man. He tied into the community. It's got to be a weird feeling as a player that been with one team for 15 years, and then on the back of your career, you looking for a place to play after not having to look for the entire summation. Very weird position Cam Jordan has to be in because he never experienced that before. He's always been under contract as an NFL player for the totality of his career, and he's had a brilliant career. So a lot to take in there, man. A lot to kind of go over too. A lot of good game that Cam dropped in this interview. The fact that he wants to play beyond 1 year, 2 or 3 years he see himself playing. And I know for certain that does not fit the Saints timeline. It doesn't. The Saints, if basic what I'm hearing and word on the street is they are interested in a 1 year deal with Cam, below 6 million. That's what I'm getting. Cam's looking north of 7 million for a year. He mentions 2 or 3 years here. And I'm looking, I'm like, well, the closest example would be his old buddy, Demario Davis, that got 22 million in 2 years from the Jets. Now, Cam could say, okay, shout out to Demario, he got his paper. Can I get that much? Can I get, not 8 or 9 mil? Can I get a 2 year, 16, $15 million deal? Can I get that? Well, I mean, there's a handful of Cam's one of those guys that's out there. Whether you got Bosa out there and Cam, those are two of the top guys in terms of the veteran defensive end that have respectable resumes. Cam's is a lot more powerful, but in the end, it is about who you as a team want, in your system. So, like I said, these teams, whether it's the Raiders that just made a big in terms of what happened with them and their defensive end, that's yet to be determined. There's still money out there, and I know right now the market is slowing down, going into the second levels and dropping off, and the money drops off too. The free agency frenzy stops after those first 4 days, and then that money starts dying off, and teams start really kind of situating and focusing on the draft going forward. So where does Cam fit in this prior to the draft? We have that coming up in late April. There's a lot of time between now and then. At some point, you got to think that a deal will get done for Cam Jordan in free agency, whether that's with the Saints or the Dolphins or the Raiders or some team out west. Because I think he went out there to an event in Cal. He might have met with somebody out there. You never can tell. We know he's from out there. What if he wants to professionally play out there for a season or two? We'll see how it all works and goes, man, across the line. But in the end, Cam Jordan, man, to me is I think it's going to be interesting, man. If it's a 1 year deal, if it's multiple years, I don't see the Saints being interested in multiple years there. But like I said, time will tell, man. Time will tell. And it's quite interesting. Out of the three big defensive players that we had at free agents, I thought we'd at least bring back one of them. I know Cam's still out there. It's a possibility we do. But Alante Taylor, I knew he was going. Demario Davis, he was hanging outside the door. But I actually thought that we could keep two of the three big ones, like meaning Demario and Cam. But those guys gone and Cam is remaining. Will they be 0 for 3 in that category? That'll be wow. It'll be. Could you imagine losing Demario? Well, you already lost Demario, and these are players that were top players at each level of the Saints defense last year. We're talking about Cam with 10.5 sacks plus 40 something odd tackles. We're talking about Demario Davis, a mainstay in the Saints defense for I don't know how long, for a long time. 143 tackles. He's gone. You had the star position with Alante Taylor doing his thing. He's gone. So you could possibly go 0 for 3 and have to basically come up with some new people there, or rotate guys in to not replace, but to kind of drop in, so to speak, and move the defense ahead, missing mainstays like that, right? Talented players and impact players, rather, with the guys that I'm talking about. It'll be interesting, man, and we'll have to see. All right, so anyway, y'all let me know with y'all thoughts in the comment section as we get ready to get on up out of here, because that's all I got for y'all on this episode of the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Big Q. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Man, this is a crazy one, man. Y'all, with this Cam thing, but shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Y'all get y'all prop bets in at FanDuel, man. But listen, shout out to Cam, shout out to Teron Armstead. Listen, man, Cam, it's going to be an interesting situation going forward, but you can see that he's definitely, man, knowing and seeing all these interviews over years about Cam Jordan, he's definitely heard about the whole situation. He's thinking a body of work should carry him over to do that. And it's business, right? They say it's nothing personal, it's all business. But when you put your heart and soul into something, it's hard for you to kind of pull it out and talk about it's all business. You know what I mean? And I think that's a little bit in this, but man, we'll see what happens at the end of the day. Y'all drop y'all comments in the section below, man. Let me know how y'all feel about, that. If Cam Jordan, fam, listen, if you're the VP of the Saints and Cam Jordan had 10.5 sacks, and this is really what happens, and you're the VP, you're Mickey Loomis. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to deputize all of you guys. And I'm going to take step down for 5 minutes, and you're the VP of the team. You're the general manager. What decision would you guys make? Why not? Now, so if Mickey Loomis deputized you to be the VP for 5 minutes, and you had one situation to deal with, and that would be the Cam Jordan situation, would you listen? Would you give Cam Jordan? I think he wants more than 1 year, so that kind of complicates things. I don't think the Saints want to go beyond a year, because I think that could be we haven't heard that, but I'm saying, that could be a fact if he talking about playing multiple years, not just 1 year. You see what I'm saying? But it's interesting. How would you handle this situation? Would you do what the Saints are doing, simply and tell Cam we're not paying that price, and we're gonna you won't play for us, play at this price? Would you handle it the same way? Y'all tell me in the comment section, how would you handle the Cam Jordan situation? Signing him, drafting all. Y'all put it in the comment section, and I'd love to hear from you. With that being said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on social media feed. Big Q representing Who Dat Nation, man. Very interesting topic of discussion with this one, man. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. I'll holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and Who Dat.
Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with thewhodatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit thewhodatdaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.